Production of Broad and High is funded in part by the Greater Columbus Arts Council, supporting arts, advancing culture, and connecting the community to artists, events, and classes at columbusmakesart.com.
From these contributing sponsors and viewers like you, thank you.
This time on Broad and High, we take a behind-the-scenes look at a yearly competition. Reno, Nevada's poet laureate shares his work, meet a local author who writes about culture clash, and listen to music from the Clark Twins. This and more right now on Broad and High. Welcome to Broad and High. I'm your host, Kate Quickle. For the last 16 years, Franklin Park Conservatory has hosted its annual gingerbread competition. This year's theme is Throwback to Your Favorite Era. We talked to one of the judges and a multi-year winner to find out more about this holiday tradition.
They're beautiful. I can't imagine the effort that went into these gingerbread houses. I can't imagine how much time. Just the thought process of what kind of a gingerbread house am I going to make? And you know, they probably threw a bunch of ideas out at the dinner table with their family. And then they say, "Oh, Mom, why don't you make a beach scene?"
I love baking. I love gingerbread houses. I love all that stuff that there's sort of like this, how did that happen? So I think from that standpoint, I was just super excited and honored. I love people who give a tribute to their dogs. So what I'm trying not to include on my judging is the heartfelt stories behind why people built what they built. They were so sweet that easily could have swayed me, but what I really tried to look for is did they follow what the theme was supposed to be? Did they use a variety of medium, I guess is a great word for it. There was some folks who used cereal in theirs and some people who used candies, and I love to see just kind of the creativity behind what people chose to include.
And this is just genius because they clearly built a structure under it, but the saltines are so much lighter. That's the hardest thing about gingerbread is it's so heavy.
We did this last year for the first time and this year, and my kids are little, so any extra tradition that we start is just really special for our families. There was a couple different tries, I can tell you that. There's one previous one that collapsed and is in the trash now. But decorating it was fun. I got to play with Isomelt, which I've never used before, and it turns into the glass, so that was new this year and fun. We'll be doing it for as long as we can now.
Sort of just something to look forward to every year. I really like art, and it's like something that I can really express myself with. And I love adding like the little details and adding like a new little trick or tip to it. So we started doing marzipan things like 3 years ago, and I love that stuff. It tastes really good. I end up eating like half the stuff that I make. Before I started a gingerbread thing, I always like to do a bit of like research on the side of looking at other people's gingerbread and other people's art and stuff. So before I start, I always draw a picture of what I want it to look like, or an idea of like the basics of what it should look like. And then I just go from there and cut out all the gingerbread parts and start constructing it. And then it just sort of turns out. One of my favorite ones was one of the original ones that I did, maybe my first one. It was a monkey treehouse, and it was when I was like a little kid. I took my handprint and traced it, and those were the branches on the sides. and I've always loved monkeys, and I got actual monkey food treats from my grandpa who works at the zoo, and we put them on the roof as tiles. The first one we did was like a family design, and it was really bad. We were little kids and we didn't know what we were doing, and we were kind of gluing things on and just doing whatever the heck we wanted to do. But then like after a while we developed like the type of gingerbread that we needed to use and the ways that you put it together and how to make it like look professional and good. We found a really good recipe one year and then we just continued to use it every single year. Well, it's not actually edible. It would taste terrible if you ate it. It tastes like cardboard. So it's a very structural gingerbread that we use, and I mean, if you dropped it, it would shatter. Like it doesn't bend. We dry it out so that it's like rock hard, and then it stays up. So I'm just gonna take the gingerbread out, and we're gonna form it into a big ball so that I can roll it out into a flat slab. But I gotta use these things because it's gotta be the same thickness all around.
To me, it reminds me of my childhood. Younger, Mom making gingerbread houses, which she did. It was very simple. There wasn't anything fancy about it, a little white frosting on the roofs and that, but she did do them with the 7 kids. We appreciated that. And I think that you look at these things, it's an art, what they've done.
To see more about Franklin Park Conservatory, check out fpconservatory.org. Dustin Howard is Reno, Nevada's Poet Laureate. He's also a professional writer specializing in supernatural thrillers. Dustin has a passion for telling the stories of people and inspiring those when he can. Let's hear from Dustin and listen to some of his writing.
Relic. The last of her kind, she perches on a rock, half submerged in a saliferous sea. Far-reaching tides roll freely, unbroken by oar and bow, blown by ocean breeze. A dulcet siren who once sang temptation to sailors, she cantillates a closed-mouthed tune for a theater of forsaken ships. She wonders why they don't come anymore. No white sails like clouds on the horizon, no wooden ships faring the swarthy sea. In the narrative of every mariner, she is a relic of antiquity, singing on a rock until a fog falls and she fades from memory. My name is Dustin Howard, and I am the current City of Reno Poet Laureate. A Poet Laureate is an honorary representative for poetry and the arts in a community, usually appointed by a governing body, in my case, the City of Reno. My role as Poet Laureate is to be an ambassador for poetry and the arts in our community. I got into poetry when I was in high school. My freshman and sophomore English teachers both did units on poetry, and it was something I took to immediately. Poetry was something that I used to kind of explore myself and kind of the world around me, especially in my first collection of poems. That was the running theme. It was deliberately an exploration of memories, starting with the earliest memory that I had, going way back to when I was like 3 or 4 years old. And then it charts, the progression of my growth kind of into adulthood and sort of that journey hitting specific beats and kind of important memories. That was a very sort of cathartic experience, getting to kind of relive and work back through some of those emotional traumas and some of those, moments of really pure joy. Poetry is one of the few mediums that allows an artist like that to connect on a very deep, personal, sort of reflective level. Summer, 1999. 7 years old and not a care in the passenger seat of Mom's red sedan. A Ford, I think. Or maybe a Chevy. In the back seat, my siblings, 3 and 5. Where are we going? Nowhere. On the radio, the sounds of summer. Mambo number 5 seems to play on repeat. It's catchy, and we sing along. Around town running errands, we visit the grocery store, the gas station, and the bank. We stop for lunch, then run some more. Where are we going? Somewhere. On the radio, the sounds of summer. I don't know what a scrub is, but I know TLC don't want one. I sit in the car with my siblings, a coloring book of The Phantom Menace in my lap, and Jar Jar fruit snacks. I think I want to be a Jedi. Where are we going? Anywhere. On the radio, the sounds of summer. The Latin flair of Carlos Santana is smooth, hotter than that summer sun. It's time to go back to our father. She drops us off and says goodbye. It's dusk and cool and I miss the car, going nowhere, somewhere, anywhere. On the radio, the sounds of summer. The auto-tuned techno-pop of Cher trying to believe in life after love. Grown up now and too many cares to list, I wonder about her that summer, all alone in her red sedan, driving to one of 3 jobs, to make ends meet, to fight for us as the struggle for custody continued. On the radio, the sounds of summer. Did they cut through the quiet in the car? Does she remember them as fondly as me? You can find poetry really all around you, not just in poetry books. Poetry is music. Poetry is in art. Poetry, I think, most importantly, is in all of the little moments that you experience in life. It's those small things that bring you joy. It's the quiet stillness by the lake. It's the rush of traffic as you're standing on the street corner. Poetry is everywhere. Poetry is really just capturing those very human moments where we're reflective and kind of contemplating ourselves and our place. It's really kind of all around us. I always think of John Keats' poem, Bright Star, Were I Steadfast as Thou Art, in which the speaker of the poem has his head rested on the chest of his lover, and he just wants to stay kind of in that moment for forever. Here we have somebody writing 200 years ago about what is a very real and human emotion that we as readers still connect with. The power of poetry really is the ability to bridge that gap between space and time, and to know that someone somewhere hundreds of years ago felt exactly the same way I might feel now. There's an opportunity for readers to connect in some big or small way with the words you've put on the page, and to know that my work might be making some small difference in a person's life is immensely rewarding for me. It's kind of like an open letter to the reader. It's a letter not for me, but for someone, somewhere, someday to open and find themselves in the words and on the page. The table. Oblong and acquired some time ago, it is the hearth of the family home, silent witness to every high and low, to gathered relatives who had far roamed, its scarred top keeping record like a tome of cherished occasions and holidays, which in finite detail recounts the way that we, like billowed embers, would alight around the old table to set ablaze conversations that burned long through the night.
To hear more from Dustin, check him out at dthbooks.com. Author Jyotsna Srinivasan writes about what she knows, which is being an Indian American. She writes for both children and adults. While her stories are fiction, her goal is to create a connection with the reader. Let's learn more about her journey.
Even when I was a little kid, I remember before I could read, looking at my father's handwriting and just being desperate to know what it said, like just desperate to know how to read. And I was so thrilled when I learned how to read. I started writing little stories and poems when I was a kid. One of my first children's novels was called Aruna's Journeys, and it's about an Indian American girl growing up in Ohio. I don't know where I got that idea. And I wrote it partly because I love to read, and I didn't see any books that represented who I was growing up in Ohio. I would see books that were about folk tales taking place in India, or I would see books about, elementary kids like the Ramona books, which I loved, or Little House in the Big Woods, which I loved. And I think I almost wrote it for my parents because, growing up we had a lot of culture clashes. They didn't understand why I thought I was American. I am American, and they were like, no, you're Indian. And so that struggle, I couldn't ever communicate that properly to my parents. So my parents are immigrants, so they are what I would consider the first American generation, and I'm the child of immigrants. So I say second generation. Some people say that I would be the first generation American, but I like to say second generation because that acknowledges that the immigrant generation is also an American generation. To me, and I'm biased because I am second generation, the transition from immigrant to American is like one of the foundational stories of our country. A lot of us share an immigrant heritage, yet a lot of us identify as American. Where does that transition happen? And I think a lot of times it happens in the second generation. We grow up in this country, we have an American accent. We don't have the accent that our parents have from the ancestral country. We feel ourselves to be American. And sometimes other people looking at us say, no, where are you really from? And I say, I say, I'm from Ohio. No, where are you really from? And they're curious. And so trying to figure out, well, what makes a person American? What does that mean to be American? And I think that is a struggle that a lot of second generation people go through, and that can inform us as we grow older and start to contribute to the society. So this is my new book. It's called These Americans, and it's a collection of 8 short stories and a novella. And again, they're all about Indian Americans. A lot of the stories take place in the Midwest or in Ohio, and they're arranged by the age of the second generation character. So in the very first story, which is called Mirror, the new immigrant mom is giving birth to her American daughter. And it's based on the story that my mom told me about my birth. I love the cover of this. So this picture of the mom with the baby, that is based on a picture of my mom holding me. That is my mom holding me. And so then the artist flipped it, and then the idea is that the baby grows up and she has her own child. So, and the other thing that not a lot of people have noticed is that the colors of the mom's sari are kind of like the American flag. And then the American daughter has colors inspired by the Indian flag. So the green and the orange, like that. So that there's the mixing of the cultures. I've written a lot of stories that were based on my life, based on the kind of the cultural clash or melding of, you know, Indian culture, American culture, Indian American, what does that mean? It's hard. And so I feel like there's been a lot of failure along the way, a lot of learning along the way. I think the hardest part for me is getting myself out of the way. Because at first, I think at least for me, I'm putting it on the page and I'm like, oh, this is so impressive. Everyone's gonna be so impressed with me. And that is not what you want as a fiction writer, because you want the reader to be involved with your character. And so for me to be able to learn about who that character is, what they care about, where they are, what they care about in their environment, what they really want. It took a while to get to that point where the reader was engaged and interested and excited, and so it's been a long process. When you read fiction and you become that character, you kind of see the world through that person's eyes, you understand, you empathize. So I think that's a really important part of what I hope the reader will get.
To see more of Jo's work, you can find her at josnasrinivasan.com. The Clark Twins Band is anchored by, you guessed it, twin Clark sisters. While Lisa and Laura have been playing and singing for years, they've just recently gotten together to form the band. In this installment of Broad and High Presents, they share a song that was inspired by a 10-year-old boy who already knows what he wants to be when he grows up. Let's take a listen.
Saw you on a commercial, saw you on a street sign, always talking about an acute crime that I'm failing to pass. Saw you in your interviews during your test of judgment. Watched you walk your straight line, figured in more red wine. And I was a child and watched you run, okay. And I was a child and had more fun. Nothing ends at an age you'll see. Careful, it'll get to you like it got to me. Careful, it'll get to you like it got to me. Should have been the kid walking home alone from school. Saw his reflection in a puddle, thought it was cool. 10 years old with a plan, writes for the school papers, got his camera in his hand. And I was a child and watched you run, okay. And I was a child and had more fun. Nothing ends at an age you'll see. Careful, it'll get to you.
To hear more from this amazing band, check them out at theclarktwinsband.com. Well, that's our show. Remember, you can find all of our stories online at wosu.org, as well as on our YouTube channel. For all of us here at WOSU, I'm Kate Quickle. Thanks for watching.
I was a child. I was a child and watched you run. Okay, and I was a child and had more fun. Nothing ends at an age, you'll see. Careful, it'll get to you like it got to me. Careful, it'll get to you like it got to me. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. How's a child?
So don't race against the tide. Maybe I could try to get the waters just in time.
Production of Broad and High is funded in part by the Greater Columbus Arts Council, supporting arts, advancing culture, and connecting the community to artists, events, and classes at columbusmakesart.com.